Welcome back to the Willis Podcast. How you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, we back, we live, and we are here, and we are back in a place to be with another great show for you tonight. Greatness without discipline is an illusion. It completely is. But you got to follow me on this show because I guarantee you're gonna find something that defines what you can align with and reshape, reform, and make better for yourself at this point in time, because there's something that you got kinks. Everybody got kinks in their armor. So greatness without discipline is an illusion. You know, you have to practice greatness whether you understand the pivotal points of what you do in even the most minute ways every day, all day. So check it out, right? Because you got to look at a lot of different ways. You got to think about greatness is a lie without repetition. You know, you don't become great if you don't repeat great habits. Fundamentals create legends. You know, everybody wants greatness, but nobody wants the reps. You don't want to get it up. You don't want to practice the repetitions. You don't want to do what it takes to be the one, to be the great one. You got to think about that shit though. Okay, so check it out. The truth about greatness is repetition builds power, an immense amount of it too. But talent dies without fundamentals. So if the truth about greatness and repetition building the power, think about this though. If you got talent and you don't nourish that talent, if you don't take that talent seriously, if you don't put the effort into your actual talents, then what do you have? You got talent without fundamentals. That means your chance of greatness is limited because you won't, or you may not even be willing to put in the work. So you got to think about that too. So repetition, the principles, why most people never become great. They never become great because they never believe in the repetition of what they're doing. They don't have the thought or the mindset to keep repeating to understand that actual repetition will make you fundamentally fantastic. Absolutely. But check it out. Let's keep moving on. Okay. People worship success, but ignore the painful repetition that creates it. That's just what we was talking about, right? Yeah, absolutely it is. So let's break it down, right? People see greatness as magic instead of repetition. You see how I keep saying the same thing repetitiously, saying it different ways? That means you have to practice different methods in order to figure out your methodology. How do you know what works for you if you don't practice different styles of delivery, of discovery, of practicing and actually doing things to see if it works for you? You have to put time in to practice different elements and styles to make sure it works for you. So you have to really understand that. So that breaks down the fundamentals are boring. They think fundamentals are boring, but greatness is built from boring moments. What you think is boring, doing it over and over again. You have to find the excitement, search for the passion, and look for the fundamental greatness in it. You got to look at the best practices. The only way you know how to formulate a best way of practicing something is doing it repetitiously. It all goes together. So if you think about athletes, musicians, fighters, thinkers, they repeat shit basically endlessly. It's an endless form of discovery. How to string a chord precisely to get that sound you like. How to shoot the shot the same way, different angles, different elements, different formalities, different ways, but you still got to maintain that same form in order to release that shot with follow through. See, it's just like with basketball, sports today. What if you could do it with both hands? What if you got? What if you want to be an ambidextrous and do it the same way, the other way? That's a form of greatness, right? So having the same fundamentals that can be applied ambidextrously, is that not different or better? And why don't they have kids doing that right now, even when practicing basketball? We got AA, you got all these things, but who is actually getting better in real time? That's when you get like an Anthony Edwards fight. For real though. But think about it. Greatness without discipline is an illusion. Okay. Uh thinkers. Thinkers. We think repetitively. You can rehearse things. That's what a detective is. That's what a person that studies crime. Rehearse situations, actuals, and murder scenes, and unaliving scenes, understanding how there are different situations, there are different actions around the room, there are different the way a shadow, the way the glass can break, the way there are scuffs along this line of the wall. There's a streak of human liquid here, and then there's a certain way that the person was flung or slung, or the way they collided, and the way a certain apparatus stuck into a person in order to create this scene of violence. And someone can orchestrate this just by actually rehearsing the way things operate through repetition, and how they can discover how things are extremely different just from a first glance. It's a difference. Check it out. Social media makes people want shortcuts instead of mastery. See, the thing is, social media or any other thing shows you a glimpse, an appearance, and you have to be attracted to it. So if you're attracted to that glimpse or an appearance, what do you show? Interest. Interest. Well, let's see how far interest can take you. And let's discover if you have this interest, does that interest have value? It's guaranteed to have value. You just have to understand the type of value you need to explore within that element. Anything can pay you money. If a person has an interest in homicides or people that are unalive, you got a multiple interest. You can become a detective, a homicide detective. You become a mortician. You can become, an embalmment person that works for the mortician. Different skill sets, different, ways of, practicing your skill set. See, the thing is, you have no reason to not practice something that you can be great at, even if it's dealing with the dead. Okay. Discipline beats talent when talent avoids repetition. See, a person can want to be good at something and develop a skill set. And then the person that has a talent doesn't develop the talent. Who's better, the mechanical version or the talent? A talent unpracticed is a waste. So it doesn't matter if you had a talent or not. If you can't beat the mechanical version, then you're just, it's what you call a waste of talent. Because you can pay somebody to do a job mechanically, and a job that you was, talented enough to do. But what if you wasted that talent, and that person that steady working on their fundamentals and their mechanics, they have become just better than you because they have the same weapons as you. You just had a skill set, and they fundamentally found a way of how to develop themselves into they were better than the talent. That happens too. Repetition rewires the mind and body. So even if you have that talent, could you rewire it, and could you wire it back up and spring it back up and bring it back into action? Hell yeah, you can. and possibly outpace the mechanic or the person with the mechanisms. But good luck. Because, when you do something over and over again, you can't help but do nothing but one thing, and that's just get better. Discipline beats talent when talent avoids repetition. That's just a fact. Okay, repetition rewires the mind, absolutely. But most people quit before repetition turns into an excellence. Most people quit before that repetition turns into excellence. Yeah, you got the talent. Yeah, you got the interest. Yeah, you got the drive. But do you? Do you have the love? Do you have the passion? That is the one thing that produces greatness. Just putting in a little bit more extra time, not just an assignment. Stop looking at everything as an assignment, okay? And look at it as a thriving moment of development. A thriving moment of development. It hits different, for sure. Everybody wants the spotlight, but nobody wants repetition in the dark. Floyd Mayweather taught us that. He wanted the spotlight and the repetition in the dark, but he also wanted too much of the spotlight, because he had other issues going on right now. But you can't deny one thing: when greatness becomes a lie, it's because you gotta be specific with the greatness. Some people are not great as a person. Oh, my baby, I hear her. Something's going on. We're gonna get the show done. It's not gonna be too long. No repetition equals no greatness. Fundamentals create the true power. And everybody wants greatness, but not the work. Repetition builds legends. I promise you that. But what does it take? See, if you want to be great, you have to have a specific type of intensity. Very specific. You got to be intense about something. And also, you have to be alone. You have to practice being alone, uncharted, untapped, just focused, just you and your mission. You have to understand the aspects of being completely alone, in a void, in a place of solitude. Okay. In order for you to be disciplined, as you can possibly be, you have to be in tune. But what's at hand? And you have to allow a little bit of obsessiveness in what entails in order to know that you can overcome. Keep it on your mind. Okay? That's it's the that's the transformation, the transformational process. That transformational process has to be, and it has to take place. And if that doesn't take place, you have to wait until it develops. That's a fortunate and unfortunate thing, because you have to know if you really do got it. See, greatness is an illusion without repetition. Fundamentally and historically, that has to have an identity. You understand? Greatness comes from repetition and knowing who you are, knowing where you come from, who you are, what's your lineage, what can you grasp onto, what can you make powerful and stronger, what do you already have built within you that all you have to do is tap into and develop it even more precise. Your ancestors repeated greatness before you. Greatness built Greatness is built through discipline, memory, and identity. That's what it is. Greatness is extremely built through discipline, memory, and identity. So without fundamentals, repetition, and historical self-knowledge, you are lost. You're lost. The forgotten formula of greatness is how to tap into what made you and created you. You are not just an individual, you are a continuation of repetition, survival patterns, teaching, failures, victories, and historical memory passing through generations. Let me repeat that for you. You are not just an individual, you are a continuation of repetitions, survival patterns, teachings, failures, and victories, and historical memory passing through generations. That's who we are and what we are. See, your habits shape your future, but your history shapes your mindset. People disconnect from the root of their lack of direction. So if you think the habits that people shape, the habits people have, that shapes how you think and how you orchestrate your day. People that disconnect from their roots often lack direction because you wanted to be cut off. You didn't want to listen. You didn't want to understand. Fundamentals exist before modern society. Survival itself required repetition. You understand? Fundamentals existed before it all. That's why you call it fundamentals. The things that you do first before you even start doing anything else. If you're doing anything else, that's putting the cart before the horse. So historical identity can give confidence and purpose, but when people forget where they come from, they become easier to manipulate. Because you are abandoning who you are. You are abandoning your ways, just like a people, they abandon their homelands. They abandon who and what they are. They abandon their elders. They abandon their parents. They abandon their children. Talking about they want to seek a better life. Nah, I don't buy half of that shit. Y'all want something from yourself. That means you some sick ass, crazy ass, maniacal ass people. You're disgusting in your natures and behaviors from that degree. Greatness grows strength when discipline connects to identity. Knowing your history can strengthen your self image and your endurance because you got to know what you're doing, and why you're doing it, and who you're doing it for. But if you lose sight of that, you just perpetrating and pretending for the most part. So, but dig this. Greatness is not a talent alone. Greatness is an understanding of self, the repetition of discipline, the mastery of fundamentals, and the development of the mind, spirit, body to overcome and to be successful in time. So over time, you're supposed to develop. You're supposed to be great. You're supposed to learn. You're supposed to uh, uh, come to a conclusion of, you know, the conclusion that should have no conclusion. It should be seen. You should be able to portray it, and it should has been done. That's how that should go. But when you practice it daily, you know one thing: knowledge of self is how you establish the greatness without this with greatness with having discipline and not being without it. So it comes with controlled emotions, sharpening the mind, protecting your energy, developing discipline, correcting weaknesses, and strengthening. This may make sense to some. Strengthen your strengths. But repetition reveals the patience, consistency, endurance, and honesty with yourself. But you have to think about a few things. Greatness is the development of the complete self. It has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with fame, and nothing to do with your talents. But what it does have to do with is your mental strength, emotional control, wisdom, discipline, historical understanding, spiritual balance, and self awareness. That's the show tonight. I hope you appreciate this. And I hope you understand that greatness without discipline is an illusion. You all have the ability to be great in whatever you choose to do. You just have to put the time, energy, and efforts into it. That's the show tonight. Thank you for tuning into the Willis Podcast. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I love you. And once again, y'all know what it is because you know what I love to share with you. The favorite part of the show, the will is yours. Don't ever forget. Appreciate that. Don't forget that. Don't lose that.